Good day everyone. In this video, I'm going to share with you a simple tool that I have created to evaluate the strength and health of your portfolio. As we all know, stock market can be very confusing because of its constant volatility. According to Warren Buffett, unless you can watch your stock holdings decline by 50% without becoming panic-stricken, you should not be in the stock market. Despite its volatility, stock market is also being referred to as a weighing machine, which can manifest the true value of a company over the long term. The key, however, is to make sure that you are using your hard-earned money and investing it in companies which are really worth it by paying attention to the true value of a company, buying them low and selling them high. This, however, does not mean using a buy and hold approach. A more suitable approach would be a buy and homework, which involves reviewing and assessing the holdings and the stocks that you own regularly over the course of time to ensure that they are still valuable and worthwhile for you to hold on to. And at the same time, when the time is right, you might want to, trim some of your positions and cash in on the ones that have been performing really well, for example. Or in contrast, you might even decide that you might want to, take some loss and cut loose some of your losing stocks because there's no hope that they will recover or bounce back. Doing homework is much easier these days when you have access to invaluable sources of information at your fingertip. Having said that, knowledge is only power when used and applied appropriately. So in this video, I'm going to share with you a simple tool that I've created which allows you to quickly evaluate how your stocks are performing in terms of value, in terms of their growth potential, and in terms of their momentum. This tool draws information from a very useful website called Zacks, which basically provides you with some valuable research data and some, expert analysis in terms of various stocks. As you can see, the URL for this website is displayed on the screen. Feel free to have a look at the website and search for the various, holdings that you currently possess by just typing them in the search box available on the top of the website screen. So as you can see here, this is a dashboard of the tool that I have created, and basically it showcases three major areas on the top to evaluate your stocks. This would be in terms of the value, growth, and momentum. Now, all of these values and stats are actually taken from the website Zacks, which I was referring to, and they are compiled into some sort of analysis. The average is taken, and once the data is crunched automatically for you, it will then appear in terms of this visual representation, which is very easy to see how your stocks are performing. In this typical example, this is based on my top 10 holdings that I currently own in my stock portfolio. So as you can see on the left hand side, the value score, which obviously would be from all the way from 0 to 100, is a showcase of to what extent the stocks that you own are currently in terms of companies which are undervalued. Obviously, the higher the value score you get is better for you. In other words, it's referring to the companies that are currently undervalued and have the highest potential in terms of the value that they can actually generate for you. As a rule of thumb, the companies which are much lower than their fair value will actually have a very high value score given by Zacks. Currently, as you can see, the average value score for my stocks is 40, and that's not an ideal position for me. Ideally, I want all of these dashboard to be in the green zone, which I have defined to be anything more than 50. Now, one thing you have to remember is that Zax doesn't necessarily give you scores in terms of, values, in terms of numerical values. So it just gives you scores in terms of A, B, C, D, and F. With F, I classify it as an absolute failure, and A is obviously the best score the stock could ever have. Now, in order to mathematically turn it into something which allows me to then visualize that in a dashboard, I had to make some assumptions and allocate some numerical values to these, with F obviously getting a 0 score and A having the highest score, which is 100. The other category, which is in the middle, is with regards to the growth potential of the stock, and this one in particular is actually referring to the financial health of a company and the prospect for it to grow over time. And obviously this is measured by looking at the income statement of the company, its statement of cash flow and balance sheet. And the beauty of this is that all of this has been done by Zax for you, and all you need to do is just use the score. And I will show you in a bit how those values need to be entered into the the tool so that it can automatically calculate it for you. And finally, momentum is the potential for the stock in terms of the being the right time to invest in a company, in terms of whether it's still in an upward trajectory in terms of its stock performance, or whether, for example, it doesn't have the momentum at the time for the time being. And as I said, this is a free tool and you can easily access it by looking at the description of the video and getting the link for that matter. Finally, you can also see the average Zax score for all of the top holdings that I have, and the average beta in this case is also an indication of the volatility of the stocks that I am owning. The average price gap is comparing the current price of the current price that you've actually paid for the stocks you own in terms of the average against the long-term projection for that stock to ever reach that. So the higher that, the better for you, and the long-term growth is also an indication of the average growth potential for that company according to Zax. I promise it gets clearer as we look at how these values are entered into the tool and how the tool itself actually calculates that. Just a point of caution, I guess, is that when you're having access to the tool, make sure that you only change the values in the data tab. All of the other tabs are not supposed to be modified, because if you modify other tabs, you're actually messing up with the tool. So when you click on the data tab, you can see that here I've listed the top 10 holdings or stocks that I currently own in my portfolio, and they're not in any specific order. It's just that the top 10 holdings that I'm currently possessing, and they are Apple, Bristol-Myers, Boeing, Skyworks Solution, VMware, Salesforce, Eli Lilly, AbbVie, Beyond Meat, and American Towers. As you can see, what I have done is that, as I said, with the ticker symbol of each one of these stocks, I've actually searched for them in the Zax website and picked all those values that I need to be entered into the sheet here. So in particular, I will be looking at the value in terms of whether it's A, B, C, or D, or even F, the growth score, momentum score, and the overall Zax score. So as you can see, these are the values that I will be actually copying and pasting into this sheet, as well as the beta for the stock. The purchase price is basically my average purchase price. The average target price is what Zax suggests the stock has a potential to reach, and the price gap percentage and the price gap percentage is something that you're not supposed to change, and that's why it's highlighted in yellow color on the sell. This is something that will be automatically calculated for you, and similarly for the long-term growth, this is something that you will be entering into the sheet based on the values Zacks provide you with. However, they are color coded automatically to showcase the best performing, I guess, and the worst performing in terms of the whole lot that you own. The average row, on the other hand, has been highlighted in yellow because, again, it's automatically calculated and is later on used in the further analysis and visualization of your dashboard. So don't change those rows, I guess. Now, for example, this is what you can see for Apple. When I search in Zacks, these are the values and figures and scores that I can get, and that's how I have picked up these values and put them into the sheet so that eventually the dashboard can be created for me. The beauty of this simple tool is that it actually allows you to have a bird's eye view of your portfolio, and in this case, have a look at how your top holdings are performing in terms of their growth potential, in terms of their current value, and in terms of their momentum in the stock market. And you can also see what is the long-term growth potential for those companies as well. Please feel free to use the tool and let us know how you find it. If there are any feedback or comments or questions you've got, please just type them in the comment box below the video. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and the tool, hit the like button. Thank you very much and stay in touch.